This is a second attempt at recording a video around the validity feature that I'm going to remove. So this is about the validity predictions over here. I'm going to remove them, and in the first video I made some mistakes, so I want to correct those and also talk about this feature here, so validity filter and validity formatting, which I'll also remove. In the first video I discussed these four components here. This one has got a validity prediction which is 51% probable of it being valid, and we're 100% confident about that. And then this component has got only a 50% probability of being valid, and we're 100% confident about that. The labels here say valid and invalid, so that's when it's over 50%, then the logic's currently in the program says this is valid. When it's under that, it says invalid. We'll come back to these labels shortly, but these should probably say instead maybe valid and maybe invalid. And we should reserve valid and invalid for when we're 100% probable or 0% probability. The other two components that we covered were these two here, where instead of varying the probability, we're varying the confidence. So we're saying there's a 100% probability that this is valid, but we're actually not very confident about that, but we're over kind of 50%. And then this one, there's a 100% probability that's valid, but only 50% confident. What that translates to is then this opacity. So if we swap to a presentation mode, and then we go and look at the display options, by default, it's using this use certainty validity formatting. And so this is also, there's lots of problems here. This validity formatting is not about validity, because you can see these two here, we're 100% sure that they're valid. So this says valid and this says valid, and before I said, oh, I think this is a bug. That's not a bug. It's because we think it's 100% probable of being valid. We're just not very confident about it. So in these display options, this shouldn't say validity formatting. This should say certainty formatting. And the certainty is given by the way we've kind of calculated it so far, and that's maybe right or wrong or whatever, or maybe there's existing philosophy or mathematical theory about this or whatever uncertainty theory. We've taken the minimum of the probability and the confidence to be the certainty of this thing being true. So this should be called certainty formatting for a start. What else to say about this? Yeah, when we've also got this validity filter that we didn't cover before. We didn't have these other two types of components, so let's just cover these other two types of components. This component here, we're just saying is valid by default. So anytime you make a component, if there's no validity, so Control E to swap back to editing mode, there's no validity predictions here. So by default, this component is valid. If you make a component and then you obviously give it 100% probability and 100% confident, it's going to be valid. These two components down here, this one's got, well, it should have a probability of 0% and a confidence of 100, and this one should have a probability of 100 and a confidence of 0. If you change either the confidence or the probability to 0, then the component disappears. And I know where that bug is. I'm just not going to fix it, so I'm just going to remove this whole feature anyway. Same for probability as well, it will disappear. And so if we go back to then the display options, we've got this validity filter. And again, this is not validity, this is this concept of certainty, so this minimum of probability and confidence. By default, it will just show everything, so it should show invalid, which means 0% probability of it being, well, in this case, this one, there's so many bugs all over the place. This one, if it was 0 here, it should still be shown because it's invalid, and we're saying, well, we want to see everything, right, including invalid things. Now, if we instead interpret this not as validity but as a certainty filter, and then we'd have to have a different word for what this component is, where it's 100% probable but 0% confident in that. I don't think invalid's the right word. We just have no confidence about whether this thing is true or not, and this probability could be anything at that point. So yeah, I don't know. The whole thing's very confusing. I'm not sure if that should be shown at this point or not should be shown, or this language should be changed or whatever. If we go back to presenting mode, then you can see that when we instead just deselect these, yeah. When we say we're going to show invalid, it should be showing these even when they're at 0%, as we said. And then there's these three other options. So there's showing maybe invalid. So these two are, well, this one's maybe invalid and this one's valid. So if we swap to that, then any invalid ones should be hidden. But obviously we can't even make this one invalid because it will just automatically get hidden. So this one doesn't really seem like it does anything because it doesn't. Then we've got this maybe valid. Now this one should show this one but hide this one, and it should still be showing all of these because this title is wrong as well, isn't it? So this is valid, but maybe not. It's kind of because it's the confidence part of it. And then this one is again it's valid, and maybe true. Maybe truly valid. And then this one is valid, but no confidence. Or I'm not really sure. Anyway, the whole thing will get removed for the moment. I just wanted to document some of the different components and how they work. So if we just go back to this one, then go back to presenting. So if we go to only maybe valid, it should show this one and it should hide this one, but it should still show all of these, but it's not. It's going to hide these ones as well, because again, it's working off the certainty value. So that's kind of wrong under the validity filter, but if it was under certainty filter, then it would be okay, but then we'd have to change this label to something else. And then obviously we've got the last one, only valid, and yeah, it's showing those, but again, as we've discussed, these are still valid because they're 100%, but whatever. Okay, and then the formatting, this just changes the opacity, so obviously always 100% is this one. And then this one, I wasn't really sure. I think it's just basically meaning the minimum opacity that will ever be shown is 50%, and then it scales everything proportional to that, so it just squeezes things up. So if this was at 50% opacity, and then you use that option, it will then go up to 75%. That's the validity done. Then the other option, the other feature that I wanted to talk about were judgments. So here we've got a component of this substate of type Boolean, and then we've got a judgment on that where we're saying, so if we swap to editing mode, Control E, you can see that this target here is that one there. You see it highlighting as we go over it. And it's saying that the comparator it's using is equal to, and then the value is true. So here, when it's a Boolean, it's only letting us select true or false. And, we might want to be able to say, well, actually, it shouldn't be true or false. The judgment is that we really just shouldn't know at this point, right? That's the judgment. And at the moment, the judgment doesn't allow you to select that as an option. Also, the comparators here maybe they're not equals to make sense, but these ones don't make any sense, so these shouldn't be shown for Boolean. Again, I'm just going to remove this whole component type, judgment and objective, but the two are synonymous. There's no difference between these two fundamentally. The other thing that adds complexity to this is that the judgment, or the objective in this case, they're both targeting the same component, get added to this component. And so you can see that the UI gets a bit more complex and hard to reason about and hard to do. So you now got these two kind of green dots. In fact, let's just change this one so that it should be false, and then you'll see it changes to red. And then you can click on these different kind of judgment labels to go back to the original component. So if we just deselect that one, and then we click on the red, it will select the objective. Yeah, that's interesting that it kind of selects it and then deselects it. Yeah, maybe there's like a double click in there somewhere. Yeah. Interesting. So that will also get removed. We've got one of type number. So obviously here, then you can do. Actually, I don't know. Could we do equal to or greater than 5? Yes, this is a value of 5. So we put it at 4. This should still be passing. We put it at 6. It should fail. Yeah. Okay. We've got the subtype of other. Now this one here is just a text here. Yeah. ABC. And the current value is, yeah, okay. So this one's saying, because this probability here is 50% true to A, ABC, or the option D, E, F, then this judgment is coming back as this kind of unknown grey value. If we change it to, 1.1, I think it will still be grey. Yeah. So this requires this one to be certain that it is that option. Yeah, now it's going to change to that. Okay. Not 1. Yeah, okay. Again, I'm going to remove all of that. What's this? Show state without judgment. Okay, yeah, this is just saying if you didn't have that judgment in this knowledge view or this map, then it will just get hidden. Well, it's a show judgment without state. Now this one here, if we're in presenting mode, you'll see that it's got this current value of green. But if we go through to here, well, it's still got the current value of green, which is, you don't even know what component it's referring to now. Out of interest, if we make a show state with a state value, then let's have a look at what that one does. Use user's parent. Okay, now we'll make a new component with a state value that targets some state with state value. Nope. Some state. Some state with subtype of other. No, some state subtype other. Round 2. Yeah, okay. On that one. And then we're saying, yeah, so here we've just deleted all the values. So now let's add a new value prediction here of, yeah, let's say D here. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? So this judgment here is only using the original components value, as in is using the value of this component without any substate being applied. Sorry, not substate. Without any state value being applied on top of this component. So you can see that this is forcing it to be a value of DF, which is wrong, false, not a good thing. But the top level kind of label being applied is still, yeah, it's still fine. So yeah, that's a bug. That doesn't work as expected. And then we've got these last two here. And this is the other feature that I wanted to show, that goals can have a list of objectives or judgments. So we just swap back to editing here and just remove these two for the moment. We'll see that this judgment is pointing to this action here, and they're saying it should be in progress. And this objective, or again, it could be a judgment, is pointing to that action and saying it should be a value true, which doesn't make any sense. Or maybe we could say it should be equal to cancelled or something like that, or completed maybe. And so then you can see that if we change this one to completed, it swaps around those judgments, and now this objective is green, whereas before it wasn't. Just go back to that one, just delete it again. This one's gone back to failing again. And then this goal, we can then set a list of judgments or objectives. So that's that sum action, and then let's just select the other one, objective sum action. Show without judgment. Okay. So if we click on this one, it does hide the judgment from that component and from the goal. And if we click on this one, yeah, same thing. That's judgments and objectives.